Alright, so we've seen how we can use Bootstrap to customize our forms and tables to make them look beautiful and make them a lot more fun to use. We're now going to whiz through a few of the components that Bootstrap provides you'll want to use in your websites because they look great and add a lot of functionality as well. So back on the Bootstrap website, click on Components, and then we've already got to buttons. We know how they work, so I'm going to move on to the excellently named Jumbotron, which is essentially a big rectangle that is designed to go at the top of the homepage of your site and be a real attention-grabbing thing. So you've probably seen this before. If you go to almost any big new startup website such as uber.com, you'll see that they very commonly use some kind of big image, bit of text, and then a big call to action. So the idea of that really is that it funnels the user where they want them to go. So what does Uber want you to do when you go to their website? They want you to sign up. That's the big thing. So there's a nice big image there, simple bit of text, and then the call to action. And that's what the Jumbotron is for. So let's, again, copy the code and take a look at it. On our own page. I'm going to get rid of the container for the moment because Jumbotron is one of those things that you probably want to stretch right to the edge of the screen. And there it is. So we've got no background image there, but that's pretty easy to add. But what we do have is a ready-made element to catch the user's attention and get them to do something with a button. The code is pretty simple. All we've got is a div with a class of Jumbotron. Just indent it nicely. We've got a custom class for the H1, which we don't really need. It just makes it a bigger, thinner text, as you can see there. So we can leave that in if you like. And then we've got a little bit of text, paragraph with a class of lead, so it's a bigger, more spaced out text than usual. Then we've got a horizontal rule, a normal paragraph, and then our call to action button. So nice and simple, but very useful just the same. Moving on from the Jumbotron, I'd like to show you alerts, which I've used in a number of sites. They're a great way of getting simple messages displayed to the user. And they look like this. So essentially, if the user's just filled in a form to send you an email or something like that, you might want to have this green one to show them a success, or a warning they didn't fill out one of the boxes, for example, or a red danger message if something actually went wrong. So let's copy the warning one over, and you can see that this is pretty straightforward. We've got our div with a class of alert and then alert warning to clarify that this is going to be the red one. We've got a semantic role is equal to alert. Again, if we remove that, it wouldn't make any difference, but it makes our HTML clearer. And then we've just got some content, which could be anything we liked in there. So there we go. There's our warning. We've also got a special alert link color, which just makes the link, if there is going to be one in your alert, fit in better the background and text color. And I really like this feature. You can just add an alert dismissible class to your alert, and you just need to add a button, which again we'll copy the code for and then see what's going on. And you add that inside your alert, and then we've got a button here with a type of button. A class is equal to close, which means that it will have some JavaScript attached to it so that it will close the alert that it's in when it's clicked. The thing that it's going to dismiss, i.e. the data dismiss, is the alert. And then we've got this thing called an ARIA label. Now, ARIA stands for Accessible Rich Internet Applications, which is another one of these things that makes your website easier to use for those with disabilities, which is yet another reason for using Bootstrap, because these things are built in. So if a user was using a screen reader, for example, or had accessibility options switched on in their browser, they may see a message called close there. And then we've got our ampersand times semicolon, which is our way of getting that X symbol, and an area hidden is equal to true means that the X won't be displayed if the user is on a screen reader because they will see close instead. Okay, so let's just see that in action. There we go. So you can see the X now, and if I click that, it disappears. Wonderful. So that's alerts, which are really useful. You can also work with the JavaScript if you want to make them do something fancy, but we're not going to look at that right now. Okay, so there are two more components that I want to show you in this video, and the first is the progress component, which is a really handy way of showing the user's progress in something. So it's pretty straightforward. We use the progress HTML5 element, give it a class, give it a value, a maximum, and then some text if you want that will display. So let's have a look. So let's just change the value to say 35%. Oh, we might as well change this one as well. And there we go. So we've got a very simple progress bar which you can update using JavaScript if you want, but it might just be a static way of showing how far they are through your sign-up process, for example, something like that. And we can add nice colors. So let's do that. Let's give our progress a class of progress success, and why not give it a striped effect as well, which of course we add using progress striped. Okay, let's take a look. There we go. Very nice. The last one then is a new component for Bootstrap 4, which is very flexible and has replaced a number of other components, and that is the card. So it'll be pretty clear what it is when you see it, something like this. So it's kind of an image and then a title and then some information and the call to action. So let's have a little look to see how that looks in our site. Let's just indent everything nicely. There we go. So we've got a full width one there. Of course, we don't actually have an image. So let's pop in a quick image from Wikipedia, just so we've got something to work with. We've had Homer and Marge. So let's have one of Bart Simpson. So we'll click on him. And then I'm just going to control click and copy image address, and then paste that straight into the src for our image. And then we just want a standard src as we're used to here, a source. So you'll only use data src if you're doing something quite fancy with images. We're just loading one up, so it's just src that we use. Okay. So that looks pretty good, but it's obviously stretched out right to the edge of the screen. Often what you're going to want to use this for is if, for example, you want to show 3 features of your brilliant app, then you might want to have an image and then some information about that feature and then a call to action to do with that feature. And that's what these are generally designed for. So let's have a quick look, see how we do that. There's obviously some other content types that we can add to them. You can play around with those if you like. But I'm going to focus on layout here. So to change the layout, all we need to do is add some columns, as we've seen before. So we just add a class of row and then a class of col.sm, and then however many mini columns we want the width of that object to be. So here's a challenge for you. Can you make it so that there are 4 cards, each with the same content, going from left to right on the screen? Go for it. Okay, hope you managed that. All you needed was a div with a class of row to contain all of our divs. And then we're going to contain each of the cards in a div with a class of col for column SM because we want this to stack when it gets onto a phone screen. And then we want 4 of them. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So they're going to be 3 columns each. There we go. And you can see that there's an extra class of card block here as well, which provides some nice styles. It'll work without it, but it just adds some nice spacing for the cards as they go from left to right. Okay, let's just get our indenting all nice. There we go. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's then have a look. Wonderful. So we've got our 4 cards going along, and they will remain as they are until we hit the phone screen size, and then they will stack. So as always, cards have got a bunch of different options which you might want to check out if you're going to be using them in your site, various layouts, headers, footers, etc. But that's as far as we're going to go in this video. In the next video, we're going to look at Bootstrap Modals, which is a more interactive feature of Bootstrap. And we'll use that as an opportunity to see how we can interact with the JavaScript of Bootstrap as well. See you there.